Hey everybody, Msfs here. So welcome back to the VFR Around the World tour. We're here, if you remember, on the island of Madagascar, and we're getting ready to head on out. So get ourselves fired up, as always. Get all the instruments turned on, the lights going, get the pitot moving along. Whoops. Pointing to things I don't mean to be pointing to. All right, we'll get the radios on, EFIS on, so that all of these things can start doing what they need to. All right, everything's starting up. Yeah, we don't have oil pressure or vacuum because once again, we don't have any of these things going, so we'll get the propeller up there. In the meantime, we'll get the flight plan imported from a file. Should be pretty quick. All right, we're at 15, so we need to go to low idle. It should not go too high. We've got one waypoint. Oh, 2 waypoints. That's surprising me. Oh, there must be one near... interesting. I didn't think there were 2, but that's fine. This is just going to get us near the landing spot, so it's really not a double location. All right, and now we'll get ourselves up here, and that will bring everything else up. Now we can get the ignition. I guess we can leave the ignition on auto, but turn the starter off. That will help. Get the taxi lights on, which I then always forget to change to anything. All right, temperature in the cabin is changing. All right, and we'll go to terrain. Get ourselves out to about 50. We're likely going to need to go high. Right now, obviously, we don't need to worry about that. Everything's set there. We'll get the autopilot running. So we'll get, all right, so flight director, we didn't do it early enough yet, but that will do that. Put our fuel in, as you've seen. And so what we have is we're going to be going from Toliara to Ivato, which is Foxtrot Mike Mike, India. 493 nautical miles. It's basically straight east, then kind of straightish north. We're going to be still going a little bit east. And we're going to go ahead before we even pull off here as things are spinning up and just get ourselves going with the narrative. So we've got head east from Toliara across the southern end of the island until we reach the far side of the mountainous central highlands. And we're going to turn north and follow the divide between the high plains on your left and the coastal rainforest on your right to about the center of the island, then make your descent into Ivato International Airport in Antananarivo, the capital of Madagascar. While we're here, we can visit the Rova of Antananarivo Palace Complex, the center of the Marina Kingdom in the 17th century. All right, so that is it. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves tuned in and calling in for clearance. Toliara Center, November 191 Mike Alpha, requesting VFR at 2,500 feet to Antananarivo.
1 Mike Alpha. On departure, maintain VFR at or below 2,500. Departure on 128.9er, squawk 1647.
Maintain VFR at or around 2,500, squawk 1647, November 191 Mike Alpha. All right, so it is giving me a squawk code 1647. Turn that on. We'll let our parking brake go, get our flaps down, get our trim up a little bit. Okay. We are all set. So we're down here. I think runway 4 is where we're near. So we'll get moving here. And turn to the right.
Approaching runway 4.
And we just need to go down here, and you can see there is the end. And then we'll just get ourselves off here. A little bit
approaching runway 4.
Tricky.
Approaching runway 1.
Okay. So we're all set. And
On
we are off.
Runway 4 remaining. 6,000.
So for the most part,
feet.
it's kind of a, just fly from point to point almost. It's just we're getting over the mountains and of the island, and I think they do have some good height to them. All right, we're gonna pull up, get off. I think I'm going way too high. All right, we got that. We'll put the flaps up now that we're moving. We will arm. We will yaw damper, and we will do that. And it should start to rotate as it shows. And we should be able to go off. And obviously we want to start seeing this terrain do its thing. So we're not in any visual danger. So flaps are up. Wheels are up. So everything is good. But yeah, we're starting to get some yellow here. And then we'll obviously eventually go to green and then go to nothing. But if you're new to the series, welcome. New to the channel, obviously welcome even more. We fly this every Saturday morning. We've got about 227 legs to do. This is leg 51. So coming up around Africa here. And we'll just have to keep an eye out as we go, because we will have to cross those highlands. I don't see anything in front of me right now. So we're kind of going to leave things go at 2,500. But what we do, because it is VFR, we give you the ability to enjoy the scenery. I keep the distance here. And we leave that as it is. And hopefully, all things considered, we'll be in good shape. So let's see if we can load the VFR series, but I don't know that it's going to give us anything with the tour guide. Sarah, please load VFR TBM 850 Around the World Leg 51 tour.
Sorry, I couldn't find any tours nearby to load for this leg of the journey.
Right, we are 100 some miles away, so that's not unexpected. So at this point, we're greening up here. We still have 500 feet to go, so pretty sure we'll be fine. We'll obviously be checking that periodically, but I'm going to go ahead and be quiet, try to get her running at some point. And I'll see you in a little less than an hour as we get to the point where we turn north. Sarah, please load tour 1775.
Sorry, I couldn't find any tours nearby to load for this area. Since we're in the skies above southwestern Madagascar, the closest notable spot is Betioky Airport. This small airstrip serves the town of Betioky, which is known for its proximity to the Macaia forest. The airport itself is a humble affair, no bustling terminals or fancy lounges, just a simple runway that gets the job done. It's a lifeline for the local community, connecting them to the rest of Madagascar. The area around Betioky is also famous for its unique ecosystems and the Macaia people, who are among the last hunter-gatherers on the island. If you look out, you might just spot the patchwork of savanna and forest that makes this region so unique. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest city in this part of Madagascar, Betioky. It's a small, lively town that's a gateway to the Mkaya forest, known for its rare wildlife and the mysterious Mkaya people, who are among the last hunter-gatherers on the island. The area is famous for its unique mix of savanna and forest, which you can actually spot from the air as a patchwork of green and brown. Betioky might not be a tourist hotspot, but it's a lifeline for the surrounding rural communities, and its airstrip is often the only way in or out during the rainy season. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest city in this part of Madagascar, Msfs-Fmmi. It's a small town that acts as a hub for the surrounding rural communities. Msfs-Fmmi is known for its weaving industry, especially the production of mohair rugs, which are famous across Madagascar. The town started growing in the early 20th century when the weaving trade took off, and to this day, you can still find artisans practicing their craft. If you look out, you might spot the patchwork of small fields and traditional houses that make up the area. Since we're flying over a pretty remote part of Madagascar with no major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Fmst-Fmmi Airport. This airstrip is a vital connection for the town of Fmst-Fmmi, which is famous across Madagascar for its mohair rug weaving industry. The airport itself is as basic as they come, just a runway and a few small buildings, but it's a lifeline for locals, especially during the rainy season when roads can turn into mud baths. Fmst-Fmmi's weaving tradition dates back to the early 20th century, and you can still spot artisans at work if you ever visit. We're flying over a part of Madagascar that's famous for its wild landscapes, and the closest notable spot is the town of Aheda. It's a small, remote place, but it's actually quite important for the region. The town is a hub for the surrounding rural communities, and it's known for its weekly markets, where locals trade everything from zebu cattle to handmade crafts. The area around Aheda is dotted with traditional Malagasy villages, and if you look closely, you might spot the winding Onilahi River nearby. The river is a lifeline for the people here, providing water for crops and livestock in an otherwise dry region. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest town, Isuanala. This little town is tucked away in the southern highlands of Madagascar and is known for its rugged landscape and remote charm. The area around Isuanala is home to some fascinating rock formations and is a favorite spot for adventurous hikers and geologists. The town itself is quite small, but it's an important stop for travelers heading deeper into the highlands. If you look out, you might notice the patchwork of fields and the winding dirt roads that connect the scattered villages. It's a real glimpse into rural Madagascar life. Since we're flying over a remote stretch of southern Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest city, Betroka. This town is known for its dramatic, rocky outcrops and is surrounded by the Anosi mountain range, which makes for some stunning aerial views. Betroka was established in the early 20th century and has long served as a trading post for the Bara people, who are famous for their zebu cattle herding traditions. The area is dotted with granite hills and winding rivers, so if you look out, you might spot some truly wild landscapes. Since we're in a pretty remote stretch of Madagascar with no major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest town, Vangaindrano. This town sits right at the southern end of Madagascar's east coast and is known for its proximity to the vast Midongi du Sud National Park. Vangaindrano was established as a trading center in the early 20th century, and its name literally means where the water ends, which is fitting since it's perched at the mouth of the Mananara River. The town is a gateway for adventurous travelers heading into the wild rainforest nearby, home to rare lemurs and chameleons. If you ever land here, just be ready for some bumpy roads. The area is famous for its muddy tracks, especially during the rainy season.
All right, so missed getting on before Sarah was giving us the info, so that is the only waypoint that I have in there, even though there's, I guess, one closer to the airport. So we have 284 miles, as it shows here. Our total destination is like 289, so as I said, we're probably just a little bit from the airport. At this point, yeah, I hadn't loaded things, but I'm sure she gave us the best info she could, because I literally think I put Far East Highlands or something as the name of the waypoint, so it's not like it would have given anything really that exciting. But we've got 270 miles, a little over an hour to go, and then we'll be getting ready to land, I'm sure, over the capital of Madagascar. So we'll see you in a bit.
Since we're flying over this part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest natural feature, the Mananara River. This river is one of the lifelines of southeastern Madagascar, winding its way through dense rainforests and eventually emptying into the Indian Ocean. The Mananara is famous for its seasonal floods, which can turn the landscape into a patchwork of shimmering water and green. Local communities have relied on this river for centuries for fishing, transportation, and irrigation. And here's something. During the rainy season, the river can swell so much that it becomes impassable, making boats the only way to get across. Since we're in a pretty remote stretch of Madagascar with no major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest town, Farafangana. This coastal town is known for its long, sandy beaches and the nearby Manombo Special Reserve, which is home to some of Madagascar's rarest lemurs and birds. Farafangana was established as a colonial trading post in the late 19th century, and its port has been a key link for the region ever since. The town is also famous for its lively markets, where you can find everything from fresh seafood to local crafts. Since we're in this part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest town, Vondrozo. This small town is nestled in the southeastern hills and is surrounded by lush forests and winding rivers. Vondrozo is known for its agricultural activity, especially the cultivation of coffee and vanilla, two of Madagascar's most famous exports. The area is dotted with traditional Malagasy villages, and the landscape is a patchwork of fields and forests that looks especially striking from above. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Ihosi Airport. Ihosi is a small but vital airstrip serving the town of Ihosi, which sits at the edge of Madagascar's vast central highlands. The airport is mostly used by small planes and is a lifeline for the local community, especially during the rainy season when roads can become impassable. Ihosi itself is a gateway for travelers heading to the Isalo National Park, famous for its dramatic sandstone formations and lemur sightings. The town has a bit of a Wild West feel, with zebu cattle herders often seen passing through. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Ambalavo Airport. This little airstrip is a gateway to the southern highlands of Madagascar and serves the town of Ambalavo, which is famous for its traditional papermaking industry. The airport itself is pretty basic. Think more cows than control towers, but it plays a crucial role for locals and adventurous travelers alike. Ambalavayo is also the jumping-off point for exploring the nearby Anja Community Reserve, home to ring-tailed lemurs and dramatic granite outcrops. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Madagascar Airport. This airstrip is a real throwback built during the French colonial era. It still serves as a vital link for the coastal town of Madagascar. The airport is famous for its proximity to the Fianarantsoa Côte Est Railway, which actually crosses the runway. Pilots and train conductors have to coordinate so they don't end up in a game of chicken. Now that's multitasking. The town of Manakara itself is known for its beautiful beaches and the Pangalanas Canal, a network of waterways that stretches for hundreds of miles along Madagascar's east coast. Since there aren't any points of interest found right now, let me tell you about the closest city, Fianarantsoa. Founded in 1830 by Queen Ranavalona I, Fianarantsoa was designed as a strategic administrative center for the Merina Kingdom. The city is perched on a series of hills, so from the air, you can spot its terraced houses and winding roads. It's also the gateway to Madagascar's southern highlands and is famous for its old town, which is a maze of narrow streets and historic buildings. Fianarantsoa is known for its vineyards. Yes, Madagascar has wine, and its railway, which is one of the most scenic in the country. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Ambositra Airport. Ambositra is a small airstrip serving the town of Ambositra, which is famous across Madagascar for its intricate wood carving and marquetry. The airport itself is quite basic, but it's a lifeline for locals and travelers alike, especially during the rainy season when roads can get tricky. Ambositra has been a center for Malagasy craftsmanship since the early 20th century, and you can spot the handiwork of local artisans in everything from furniture to souvenirs. From the air, the town is a patchwork of red earth and green fields, dotted with traditional houses. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Ambositra Airport. Ambositra is a small airstrip serving the town of Ambositra, which is famous across Madagascar for its intricate wood carving and marquetry. The airport itself is quite basic, but it's a lifeline for locals and travelers alike, especially during the rainy season when roads can get tricky. Ambositra has been a center for Malagasy craftsmanship since the early 20th century, and you can spot the handiwork of local artisans in everything from furniture to souvenirs. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Fandriana Airport. This small airstrip serves the town of Fandriana, which is nestled in Madagascar's central highlands. The airport is pretty basic, think more goats than ground crew, but it's a lifeline for the local community, especially during the rainy season when the roads can turn into mud wrestling arenas. Fandriana itself was established in the late 19th century and is known for its rolling hills and patchwork of rice paddies, which look like a green quilt from above. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Fandriana Airport. This small airstrip serves the town of Fandriana, which is nestled in Madagascar's central highlands. The airport is pretty basic, think more goats than ground crew, but it's a lifeline for the local community, especially during the rainy season when the roads can turn into mud wrestling arenas. Fandriana itself was established in the late 19th century and is known for its rolling hills and patchwork of rice paddies, which look like a green quilt from above. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Ambohibari Airport. This small airstrip serves the town of Moramanga, which played a pivotal role during the Malagasy uprising of 1947. The airport itself is pretty modest, but it's a vital link for the region, especially during Madagascar's rainy season when roads can become nearly impassable. Moramanga is also a key junction for the country's railway system, making it a crossroads for travelers and goods alike. From the air, you might spot the patchwork of rice paddies and the winding tracks that snake through the landscape. Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest city, Moramanga. This town played a pivotal role in Madagascar's history, especially during the Malagasy Uprising of 1947, when locals rose up against French colonial rule. Moramanga is also a key railway junction, connecting the capital Antananarivo with the east coast. So it's a bit like the Grand Central Station of Madagascar, minus the hot dog stands. The surrounding area is a patchwork of rice paddies and forests, which look pretty spectacular from above. And here's something. The name Moramanga comes from the Malagasy words for cheap blue, a reference to the blue clothing worn by slaves who were traded in the region centuries ago.
So, kind of joining up here. I'm going to go ahead and probably turn a bit more to the west here. But we're getting close. I'm basically kind of trying to avoid some of these red areas. I don't know that we will. But we might be able to fly like in between here, get ourselves to the approach to the runway, because I've kind of got that lined up. We're about 22 miles out, as you can see. We're going to be coming in on runway 29er. I think we're high enough here, even though it's kind of showing some red. I had that one hill I had to pull up on that got a little too close for comfort, where I panicked right at the last little bit, but probably want to get within, I don't know, 10 miles or so before we start slowing down and all that. So, yeah, if we can get over these, probably go a little closer here. So yeah, it looks like a little bit of, let's see. If I turn this way, that might get me kind of clear of the worst of it. It's going to be close, but I think we've got enough. We're going to, you know, maybe the wheels will hit the trees, but so 250, 198, and that was it. So, right, because now I do want to go like this way. And get myself close there. But yeah, definitely, I don't know what I expected in Madagascar, you know, but just a lot more hilly and all of that than I thought. Obviously, you can see now we're getting close to, you know, really being clear of the biggest danger. Everything's lower now. We're going to have to lower down in a little bit, but once I'm clear, I just don't know if we're going to turn. Kind of trying to, oops, trying to get a little bit more lined up. I think I can go over this line here and then head in. You know, as I said, we're chewing up time a little bit, or distance, I should say. Because I may only be, you know, a couple thousand above where we should be. So now I think we head in. Because, yeah, now we've crossed over, so... Alright, I'm gonna pull it back off of here. That'll slow me down 10 or 20 knots. Just after that, alright, so I think, yeah, the runway is there, so that's where we're headed. Put this down, and then I Again, start going down here. Whoops, no, not that sharply. I mean, it works, but it's not quite what I wanted to do.
Since there aren't any major landmarks right beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Avado International Airport. This airport is the main gateway to Madagascar and opened in 1967. It's famous for its single, impressively long runway, which stretches over 10,000 feet long enough to handle even the biggest jets. Avado has seen everything from presidential arrivals to the occasional lemur crossing the tarmac. No kidding, that's Madagascar for you. The airport is a hub for Air Madagascar and has recently undergone renovations to modernize its facilities.
Just trying to kind of align things a little bit. We'll start turning in here. But yeah, it kind of gets us where we want. I think we're good. Get our first set of flaps lowered. Again, if I can do that while I'm coming in, that will allow the autopilot to kind of stabilize things. All right, and then we'll get full flaps in.
500.
A little bit that way. We're staying at about 100 knots, which is good.
Approaching runway 29. Caution! Caution!
Caution, caution, what? So yeah, obviously the alignment of where it's trying to send me is not great, but yeah, I think this is not bad. Oops. Maybe we go a little bit that way. All right, now we're 2 miles out. Turn off the autopilot. And we'll now bring this in. Wheels are down. Everything else is down. Again, it's a 10,000 foot runway, so we don't have to set it down on the other side of this water. Everything's off to the left as far as where we want to vacate. But should be okay here. I think the next leg is going to get us off the island. I think it's Comoros, something like that. Another little island country nearby. So not a great centerline approach, but all right. And we'll just turn around and head back where we were here, because we did not pass the taxiway by much. It's not a taxiway. It's like a turnaround, but that's okay. I guess we'll go find our way here.
Approaching runway 29.
Just do a little bush pilot. Run through here. Just trying to get enough here. But yeah, we'll hopefully cross that, not have any kind of a problem. Yeah, and this is a gravel type stop anyway. But we'll get the flaps up. Put this down. The brakes on. Turn off what we need there. Again, we'll get ourselves in the cutoff mode. And we should be good to go here. So, here at the capital. Obviously, we'll have an easy takeoff when we're ready to leave. And sorry that, you know, there's just not a lot of places to see around here, so it's just flying, but sometimes the tour around the world, that's how it works. So if you've not liked or subscribed, please consider that, and I will see you next time.